This is a Samsung Galaxy A14 from last year, and this is the freshest kid on the block, the Galaxy A05s. Both of them are similarly priced, and I know you are here to find out if the older brother, the A14, is better value for your money, or whether you should go with the new one, the Galaxy A05s. Also, if you're here to find out if the A05, not the S variant here, is better than the A14, well, watch till the end of this video where I'll give you the shocking real-life answer. It's not what you think actually. So for now, let me help you find out which is better between the Galaxy A05s and the Galaxy A14. And so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. Starting with the price here, the Samsung Galaxy A14 would cost you about 185,000 naira, which is roughly $165 for the 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. While for 150,000 naira, which is about $130, you can buy the Galaxy A05s right now for the same memory configuration. So we're looking at a $35 or about 35,000 naira price difference between these two devices. As far as the accessories or what comes out of the box, you only get USB-C to C cables and SIM ejectors. So you do not get a charger out of the box, and there is no TPU case for the smartphones. Both are made out of plastic, you get plastic frames and rear, and the A14 has this textured or ridged rear, while the A05s has a flat but matte finish. I somehow prefer the rear on the A14 as you would have less smudges than what you get from the A05s. And I also like the way it feels. Can you hear the sound? But this is a matter of personal preference. Now, they are almost same in dimensions, although the A14 is slightly bigger and weighs about 201 grams, while you get the A05s weighing at 194 grams. Now, these devices are not water resistant, so don't dunk them in water. They both have a 3.5mm jack for wired earphones and also to activate the FM radio app that you'd find on these devices. The fingerprint scanners are located to the right side, just below the volume rocker keys here. By the way, the buttons on the A14 feel cheap when compared to the buttons on the Galaxy A05s, which is a little bit dampened and feels like it's an expensive device. Now, these smartphones both have dual SIM trays with dedicated microSD card slots for memory expansion. Build quality on both are about the same, and the major reasons I'll go with the A05s include the lighter weight, the smaller bezels you see on this display here, and actually the better buttons. Now, for the audio side of things, both have a single downfiring speaker, and at max volume they seem to have about the same level of loudness, but the A14 here seems to give you the cleaner sound at that volume. The displays are almost the same size. You get a 6.7-inch LCD panel on the A05s, but the A14 comes in slightly under at 6.6-inch for this display here. This is also LCD as far as the technology, and they both are 1080p Full HD resolutions. Now, where the A05s shines is in the refresh rate. You get a faster 90Hz refresh rate on this display, while the A14 comes bundled with a 60Hz display. Now, because of the bigger chassis on the A14 here and the slightly smaller screen, you of course get to see that the bezels are thicker, especially when you take a look at the really humongous chin. But what are screens without talking about how they reproduce colors? To an untrained eye, these are basically the same display. You won't notice any color difference between these displays. Now, they are vibrant, colorful, and great for the price, but they are not going to give you the brightest displays when you take them outdoors. The A05s is slightly better when you consider the white balance and how colors pop here. But for everyday use, the difference is so tiny you won't notice. So considering the slightly smaller bezels, slightly larger display, and high refresh rate on the A05s and a more colorful panel, this device actually wins for the displays. When you come to performance for day-to-day average use, you would immediately notice that the A14 is slightly slower. For instance, the time it takes to unlock this device is faster on the A05s. Now, this translates to a lot of other tasks, and that's simply as a result of the faster chip we have on the A05, which is the Snapdragon 680 as opposed to the Helio G80 from MediaTek on the A14. You get faster boot up time, faster app launches, snappier animations and scrolls, and you just can tell that the A05s is the better performing device generally. As far as gaming, you might want to check out my comparison between the A05 and the A05s. The A05 has a similar processor as the A14, but slightly better. And also, this one, the A05s did win this, so it has a better performing gaming chip than what you'd get on the A14. Now, both of these devices run on Android 13 and One UI Core 5.1. Samsung promises 4 years of software update or support for both of these devices, so that means the A05s will get 1 more year update into the future than what you'd get from the Galaxy A14. Now let's talk about the cameras. You get a 50 megapixel main sensor, 2 megapixel macro lens, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor on the Galaxy A05s, while you still have a triple camera setup on this other device here. But you get a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 5 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel macro lens. This kind of makes the A14 a better device suited for photography, as you're given the option to take your photos at different focal lengths. Both share the same 30 megapixel front facing cameras at f2.0 aperture. When it comes to the rear cameras, most often than not, the Galaxy A14 had a better rear camera, but they actually went back and forth at other times. For the main cameras, white balance was often off with the Galaxy A05s, meaning the A14 had more accurate white balance. In this photo, the A05 actually did better. I also prefer the A04 here because it exposed the person's face better, but the background suffered in order to achieve that. The A14 gave a well-balanced photo, even though the person's face feels a little bit darker. Same thing can be said about the portrait photo here. The A05s is better. Checking out the 2x zoom, the Galaxy A14 had definitely the better camera. One of the lenses, which is the ultra wide shot you get on the Galaxy A14, isn't found on the Galaxy A05s, but I don't think this makes any sense because the photos from here are just meh. When it comes to low light photos, the A14 is a better camera, and for low light videos also, the A14 still takes the lead. For the selfie side, the Galaxy A14 had the better camera, but A05s has a lot of smoothing going on, which isn't my preference. For me, the A14 has a better selfie camera, but when it comes to selfie video, it actually does feel like the Galaxy A05s has the better camera.
And also comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A05s and the Samsung Galaxy A14, which was released last year. So I'm trying to see which has a better video camera. I'm recording at 30 FPS in 1080p resolution, which is the maximum resolution here. Also, let me know what you think about the color reproduction, exposure handling. I don't really like.
Moving over to the video side of things, also with the rear cameras here, the A05s can go up to 60 FPS at 1080p, which is full HD, while the A14 maxes out at 30 FPS for the same resolution. For my test here, the A14 has the better video quality. Overall, this might not seem like a good device, but I think it has a really good camera that rivals whatever the A05 has to offer. While both devices share a 5000 mAh battery, like I mentioned earlier, you have a faster charge feature with the A05s, which is the newer baby here, as it supports 25 watts fast charging, while the maximum charge speed with the A14 is 15 watts. You should be able to charge the A05s from 0 to 100 in an hour and 30 minutes, and that's for the max 25 watts speed. But you should charge the A14 in about 2.5 hours from 0 to 100. For the screen on time, these guys are quite similar. I don't think this should be a major determinant to picking any of these devices, as I think they have really good battery life. So here's the simple answer. No matter how you look at these devices here, the Galaxy A05s has better value for money. The Samsung Galaxy A05s should probably be your pick. You would get more software updates into the future, you get a better display, you know, the 90Hz thing here, a slightly better battery life in terms of the faster charging speed on this device, and also considering the processor on this device is more power efficient, and yet you also save about $35. But if you want an overall better camera instead, you might want to go with the A14, but that's just it. This is almost better in every other aspect. Now, if you already own the A14, I wouldn't say you should go through it away to go buy the A05s. I don't think it's really that much of an upgrade to justify switching from the A14 to the A05s. But if you want to switch from the A14 to something like the A25 or the A15, I think that is justifiable. Also, if you came here to watch a comparison video between the Galaxy A14 and the Galaxy A05, then the Galaxy A14 might be the better device for you. You get a better camera, a fingerprint scanner. The A05 doesn't have a fingerprint scanner, but you would get a slightly better processor for way cheaper, about $65 less than the A14. For the value this offers for $100, I think it's really worth it when compared to the A14. Now you have the data, you decide. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and do not forget to subscribe if you love the kind of content we put out here. And also do check out my review on these two devices here. Koida Day.